What's up, everyone? Welcome back for another week on the PGA Tour. The final points, going over our final DraftKings plays, picks, everything. Matt, boots on the ground this week. We got a big week coming.
Boots are on the ground. I made sure it was known on Twitter because it is a big deal. Yes, I'll be there tomorrow morning, and there's no other. I'm so excited for this week because I'll be there in person. So I'm ready to get right into it. Fun week. This is the first real tournament we've had in like 3 weeks now. I mean, it's not the greatest field ever, but it's a lot better than what we've seen. So this is a big rejuvenation, and I'm ready to get into it this week. Wells Fargo.
Yeah, it at least feels like a normal PGA Tour event. Like you said, not the craziest field in the world, but at least we get a decent middle tier. Like last week it was Rahm, and then they tried to fill out the rest of the 10K, and then the 9K were guys that haven't seen the 9K range maybe ever or in a couple months/years. So
yeah,
definitely a better field this week. I believe you'll be live tweeting from the course, so be sure to follow the Fantasy Points PGA page. Who are you going to follow tomorrow? What's your plan?
I think I'm going to get out there, hit the Answer Connors group, see what they're up to. Maybe throw a little first-round leaders on those guys. I haven't made my decision yet on the first-round leaders. I never play them, but if I'm in person, I'm for sure
You're going to
playing
have
them.
to, especially if you're there tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go out, find those guys, and then wherever the crowd takes me, wherever the PGA account takes me, I'll go follow some guys if people want me to go follow some guys. Yeah, it shouldn't be too crowded. I wouldn't imagine it'd be too crowded tomorrow morning. The weather's not great here, so I'm excited to be out there and have free reign of a course.
Absolutely. So speaking of the course, fairly new place. I mean, saw it in 2017, 2018 for the Quicken Loans. TPC Potomac, par 70, playing just over 7,100 yards. Wells Fargo is usually played at Quail Hollow. Looking back, it was played at Eagle Point Golf Club in 2017. Outside of that, it's been played at Quail for the last, 20 plus years. So moving to TPC Potomac for 1 year because Quail's preparing for the President's Cup here in September. But how much are you weighing in the TPC Potomac in terms of like looking at guys and how they did there in 2017, 2018?
I mean, we only saw so much. We saw Francesco Molinari go scorched earth. So what are you going to take away from that? He was a top 50 golfer in the world at that time. That is what it is. And we saw Kyle Stanley, who, if Kyle Stanley wins on a golf course, you know that you're going to have to strike your ball and hit your irons, be accurate with your driver, and you don't have to make a million putts. So I think that's a very key sign of what we're looking for this week. And obviously it's different from Quail Hollow. Quail Hollow is a course where you're a bomber, you're going to succeed. Your Rory McIlroys, your Keith Mitchells, your Victor Hovlands last year. So it's a little bit different. We're not going to be able to bomb and gouge away as we're used to see at Quail Hollow. So I'm looking forward to the different test under the Wells Fargo name.
Yeah, like you said, Molinari was the 15th ranked golfer heading into the week,
right?
At the Quicken Loans, and he lapped the field and eventually won the Open. I think 2-3 weeks later. So obviously it was in great form. We don't really see anyone that fits that profile, I would say, in this field in terms of form or where their game was at. I think he had a win earlier that season as well. Yeah, BMW at the DP World Tour the fall before that. So came in scorching hot, lapped the field by 8 strokes. So it's at least worth noting that we can at least see how the course played. Like last week we were basically guessing. I think a lot of people had a good idea that driving distance was going to be big. You're going to have to be able to push it off the tee, but 2017, 2018, we only get a 2-year sample size. What I was really looking at, Matt, is good drives gained. I'm going to be weighing in. And then I was kind of looking at, where are we at? Greens and reg and fairways gained. Just because I watched some of Fowler's round from 2017. YouTube had a whole thing. I mean, I would have watched Ricky Fowler anyways, but it just seemed to be the guy that popped up. But off the tee, you can get into a ton of trouble here. And if you don't hit your greens, you also get into a lot of trouble here, like where bogey's going to be a pretty good score. So it sucks that we had Kyle Stanley at 7 under and Molinari at 21 under because I'm not 100% sure where the winning score is going to fall. I think last night's show I said I think it's going to be somewhere 10 to 12. I
totally agree.
See it being upper single digits based off of the weather, but it's tough. I don't know how it's going to look off the fairway because, like I said, Fowler got into a lot of trouble, and that was the year he finished inside the top 3.
Right. So I mean, we know you're gonna have to hit the fairways here, but what was the next closest to Molinari? 13
I
under, I
think
believe.
13, yeah.
So and Stanley at 7. So yes, I would say that 7 to or now I'm gonna go 9 to 12, just like you said. So I think it's
Yeah.
gonna be, which is a great test. That is I would say my favorite score for a PGA tournament because it's not like it's a what we see in Hawaii when it's 30 under or like we
Yeah.
see at these birdie fests. That's a decent test of golf where it's 4 days and the best golfer should win this event. Who's playing the best of these 4 days should come out on top. It's not like someone's gonna make a million putts like Cantlay did at BMW. It's just gonna be someone's got to golf their ball from tee to green, whole putts when it's necessary, and it's gonna take a full skill because you're gonna miss greens here no matter how good you're hitting your irons.
Yeah. And tomorrow you're going to see some of the top guys have a horrible round and basically derail their tournament. I mean, I think it
Right.
is going to play difficult enough to the point where somebody can be ruled out of it fairly early on Thursday or early on Friday, one or the other. But I want a guy who's consistently hitting fairways, who's consistently hitting greens. Obviously, we're looking for that every week, but I'm just stressing that even more this week. So, with that being said, ready to jump into the 10K.
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. Rory McIlroy leads the way at $11,500. Tony Finau follows him at 10-6. Abe Answer 10-4. Corey Connors 10-1. And Matthew Fitzpatrick at 10,000 flat. DraftKings might have realized that they screwed up posting Rahm at 11-3 because this field is stronger. And Rory, in my opinion, isn't the type of player Rahm is, and they boosted him $200 in a stronger field, top to bottom. So,
110%.
not sure I'll get there. 11.5 is about as high as we see. I mean, you see some guys throughout the year get to 12, but usually it's like 11.2 or less. So, how are you going to go about Rory McIlroy this week?
Yeah, I mean, you know what I did last week? I faded Rom.
Yeah,
Obviously, it wasn't the right outcome as he won the tournament with not even his best game. And I got to stick with my guns and do what I've been doing. I'm not just going to go to Rory McIlroy just because he is arguably the best player in this field. And last week, John Rahm modeled out for me amazingly, like he did everyone else. Surprisingly, Rory McIlroy didn't model out for me like anything absurdly. So there's by no means am I playing this 11.5K, but I'm seeing his ownership being fairly high, but I don't expect it to be up near the 30s where I'm seeing it or high 20s because people might realize that it's not the Quail Hollow where Rory McIlroy got his first PGA Tour win, where Rory McIlroy has dominated his whole career. This is not the same course, and I think people will realize that by tee off tomorrow morning that and they won't be 30% owned. But so if he's 30% owned, like I feel like we're getting great leverage there.
Yeah, I would agree. I would prefer that everyone eats up 11.5 because the 8 and 7K, especially like the mid 7, upper 7s, is very attractive to me. So if I have to build from the middle and just kind of stay in that 8, 9K range and get to maybe 1 or 2 7s, I'm fine with going full balance here. It's a place that we don't know very well, a place that I think you can really get into trouble. So I would rather not go 11.5 for Rory and then take guys towards the bottom who struggle. And if it does play that hard, they're going to struggle even worse. And it's just going to be a quick exit for some of these guys in the 6K range.
Yeah, this is about as balanced as a core as I've made in my PGA DFS career. I went so balanced this week, and it feels like it just like maybe the risky upside isn't there, but I feel like my core is like extremely as safe as I could have made with then I'll find my risky guys in the pivots, but it's not usually how I go about things. You know that I'm very contrarian and low own type deal, but I don't know. It feels different this week. I wanted to go with a more safer, balanced build, and that's how it worked out for me this week.
Yeah, right now ownership, it looks like Finau and Answer are going to be the two guys with the lowest ownership. I don't mind Finau based off of what he did last week. I just don't feel like this is the place for him. Looking at the leaderboards from the 2 years that it was the Quicken Loans was played here, it's like the profile of golfer are ball strikers, guys who clip fairways at a high percentage, and guys who hit their greens. So it's like Finau being long off the tee. Sure, you have some holes where you can take advantage of distance off the tee, but I'm not weighing that enough to the point where I feel comfortable playing Tony Finau, especially like based off of what we've saw prior to last week.
Yeah, I'm not touching Tony Finau at all. We saw him last week absolutely crush it tee to green, but there was a lot of, I mean, obviously he had that crazy run on Sunday, but he was never in contention at all. It was a vintage Tony Finau backdoor T2. Like that's what he's done his whole life as a professional golfer for the most part. And who knows? I don't know if he's gonna do that again. Like obviously he paid off, but it was backdoor and it wasn't really what you're gonna get every single week with Tony Finau. And last week is a place where you can spray it a bunch more. You're not gonna be able to do that here. Not saying he's not an accurate driver of the golf ball, but he is a bomber who will miss fairways, and that's not the model at TPC Potomac. So 10-6, I will gladly pass, and I know he's not going to be crazy owned. It's not like I'm going to have the world of leverage on him, but I'm not going to do it. I don't think that he is the guy to at a club down shorter positional type course that you'd want to go with here.
No. So I talked about, some of these guys in this range, but it's like, I think I'm going to do a full fade with a sprinkle of Corey Connors. I am buying into the Corey Connors hype. I get that he's going to be popular. He's probably going to be top 3 when it comes to ownership. I think this place fits him pretty well. Looking at season stats like he does, everything that I'm looking for well inside this field in 2022. Top 3 in ball striking, good drives gained, and greens in regulation. If you're doing that, it's enough for me. At $10,100, I'll be getting to Corey Connors. Most of my teams will start there, I would say. But for the most part, I'm fading these other guys.
Yeah, Corey Connors seems to be very popular this week for great reason. And if I would build a golf course for Corey Connors, it might just be this course. Not overly long. You got to be accurate off the tee. Check that box. Small greens, one of the best iron players in the world. Check that box. And Kyle Stanley won here. He's not putting the lights out and by any means. Corey Connors struggles with his putter. I think that is a great design for Corey Connors. And I was ready to bet him at 22-1, and then now he's at 25 on Bet365 this afternoon. But someone kind of got me off him. That is maybe I'm not going to say his name, but doesn't have the best results, and I'm too mental to pull that. So I love Corey Connors. I didn't bet him outright, but I went 110% with him in DraftKings. I'm all over Corey Connors in DraftKings, and I just feel like he's too popular for community to get an outright win, which doesn't make sense, but that's how my mind works. So I'm going to play him in DraftKings and hopefully get a top 5 from him or something awesome because he rates out number 1 in my model for a reason, rates out amazingly. Corey Connors should play awesome this week.
Yeah, and CC, one of our subscribers in Discord, always asks about cash games. Start your cash games, single entry, multi-entry with Corey Connors and move on. That is the way I would approach.
Popular.
He is.
He's going to be.
That's fine.
Yeah, for sure. He's going to be crazy popular.
I don't think you could pay 11.5 for Rory in cash, 10.6 for Finau, 10.4 for Answer. Could maybe talk me into Fitz, but I'm just not there either. But right. So when it comes to cash, Connors or fade completely.
In this range, I would say the 2 safest guys are the 2 bottom guys, Connors and Fitz.
Not even just based off price, just based off
of the overall golf.
I think overall fit,
overall fit. So. And Answer, I like the fit. The form's a little shaky. When you look into Answer's form over the last few tournaments, it's been okay. He hit the ball decent last week at Mexico. Absolutely salvage strokes around the greens. And if you look at his past history, he is just horrendous around the green. But when you think Abe Answer, you don't think a terrible around the green player. He's gonna miss some fairways. Some greens this week. But
yeah, everyone is. You
I
can't
like
be that bad around the green.
You cannot be that. I don't think he'll lose 7 around the green, but again, he's been so bad around the green. But I do like his course fit. I'm not playing him in DraftKings at all. I took the 35-1 because of the course fit versus the field. And I know the form isn't great, but he showed a little bit last week with the ball striking. That's what you're going to need this week. We're on bent grass, which he is absurdly great on. Better is his best surface by far. So combine all those things, and 35-1 is definitely a bettable number in this field. That's why I took it. I didn't play him in DraftKings because it doesn't seem like the safest play. I think it was a better outright bet than DraftKings play.
Yeah, it doesn't seem safe, and the price isn't great whatsoever.
Exactly. Yeah. So no way I'm taking him in TK.
I'm glad we're in line here. Corey Connors and fade the rest. So moving on to the 9Ks. 9K range is led by Mr. Tyrell Hatton, followed by Mark Leishman, Keegan Bradley, Russell Henley, Gary Woodland, Patrick Reed. So fairly small 9K range here. I'm not thrilled with this range. I think me and you have the same guy at 9,300.
It's my guy.
Yeah. I'm not moving away from him. I think I could. We'll get to that in a second, though. But Hatton is one of my favorite guys to play. I don't want anything to do with him here.
Right.
And I could get burned. I fully understand that. Fading Tyrell Hatton, you can get burned at any point in time. I mean, when he's on, he's as good as anyone.
Right.
We know that a lot of these top tier golfers are, but you could make the case for him to get up in this 10K range if he had better form. Leishman, I will not touch at 9.7. Keegan, I don't mind him, but I'm not.
The price is crazy. The price is crazy. Yeah.
I'm not touching him at 9.6. So, what do you got on Henley before I kind of get into my thoughts?
Accurate driver, number 1 iron player on tour. Field is nothing crazy, decent price. I know it's the same thing at Russell Henley every week. I don't have to sell you guys on Russell Henley. You know the deal. It's a ball striker. It is a guy who can't win golf tournaments. So why wouldn't I bet him? 40-1. That's what I do. I bet Russell Henley when he doesn't win. But it just, on paper, it makes so much sense. You have to be accurate off the tee. Yes. Great. Hit your irons. Yes. And then get in contention and lose. That's what he does. I know he had a bad week at the RBC, but bad weeks happen. The RBC should have made sense for him. But besides that, it's been awesome for Russell Henley this season. And I'm not going to quit him. I've been on him since almost week 1. So I love Russell Henley. I feel like people are slowly starting to get off of him because they realize that he really just doesn't win. So I'm going to keep going. And then I know one of the times it's going to pay off for me. So I'm going to keep going with Russell Henley. I feel like his ownership is going to be decently high still, but
I think he could come in as the highest owned still.
I think it's going to be Connors still, but it might be Connors Henley for sure, or either Henley Connors. But that's how I started on my lineups. I went Connors Henley, and I'm going to eat the chalk. I'm going to play him super heavy. I'm going to play him in a good percentage of lineups. But I don't think that you're going to win a GPP in this 10 or 9K range. I think the mid is going to really make it because I feel like it's semi-clear cut up top. And then when you get to this mid range is where you got to pick your guys because there's some easy guys to pick, but you got to pick your pivots in that mid range to really make the lineup. So I'm going to eat the chalk at the top, and then I'll make my decisions in the middle and lower ranges.
Yeah, and the thing with Henley at 9.3, he doesn't have to win this thing by any means. It's really good value here. I mean, I would almost consider him this week in the 10K range. I definitely would. Like if he was where Fitz is, I would still be playing Russell Henley. So just looking at like season ranks amongst the field, top 5 in approach, ball striking, tee to green, greens and regulation. Obviously, we know he is a stat hog. He's always popping up, especially when the field gets a little bit weaker, but even in strong fields, it seems like he's always up there. He's just been so good over the past couple years. Missed the cut in his last event at the RBC Heritage, just didn't have his putter, which we've already stressed it. You don't need it here. Kyle Stanley's win, lost strokes on the greens. So
it's crazy. Like how often does that happen? Like very rarely.
Not often at all. I mean, you see top 5 guys lose strokes on the green, but rarely ever do you see the winner.
Yeah, very rare.
Especially more than one.
And it's crazy that it's Kyle Stanley because he's objectively one of the worst putters like in the last decade, like literally like that bad at putting. So like we're getting to a course where, and Molinari is no crazy putter either. Molinari is no crazy putter. So we're getting to a course where I never really factor in putting because you can only predict putting so much. Like you're either a good putter or you're not. So I'm addicted to betting on guys who can't putt, and that's what Russell Henley is. Mine is Bermuda grass, but going to a course where Kyle Stanley won, you can make a case for anyone's putter.
Yeah, and my last thing on Henley, looking at par 70 courses that come in under 7,200 yards, like TPC Potomac. Over the last 2 years, Henley's number 1 on these type of courses. So
I always say it.
It fits what he has shown us, what he's shown he's able to do. 2 years, fairly large sample size. Everything rates out $9,300. I'm locking him in another guy who I'm very comfortable playing in cash.
Yeah, I agree. So what's your thoughts on Gary Woodland? Seemed to get a little bit of an ownership break as the last few weeks. I'm thinking, and I think the spot would be decent for him. He's a U.S. Open champion at a club down course. Course you got to be accurate at, and he's hitting the ball great. Like, he had, what is it? Have one missed cut in his last few events, which is the Masters, where he gains almost 7 on approach and lost it all with a putter, something like that. I don't know if those numbers are accurate, but um. Woodland's been awesome. I'm not playing him in my core, but he'll for sure be one of my pivots.
Yeah, I like Woodland. Obviously the form's been pretty consistent throughout the course of 2022, even back into the fall last year. Had the T9 at the CJ Cup, but he's gained strokes on approach in each of his last 6 measured events. Did very well at Mexico. Didn't have the putter, just like we kind of talked about with Henley at RBC. But I don't mind doing like a whole Henley Woodland as your first 2 guys in, because that will be a little bit different. I mean, if Rory's going to be that high owned, if Connors is going to be that high owned, who's going to start with Henley and Woodland? Even if they're both semi-popular in their own right, you're still getting some leverage.
Yeah, that if you do you go Henley Woodland, you can do anything else you want after that. Like, you'll have so much room to mess around in the 8K, whatever range you want to do. But it's because I went so heavy Connors, I couldn't really get too much of Woodland. But I didn't go with really anyone else. I didn't go up to the top with Hatton or Leishman. I liked obviously Henley. Then I went with Woodland as my main pivot, and then I sprinkled a little bit of Patrick Reed too, but that's ugly. I'm not going to sell you on that. It's looking at his stats, it's scary how ugly his off the tee and everything is.
I know. I went to him last week a decent amount, and for a second there, I was like, when he was right inside the top 10, I was like, he could do this thing. And then Sunday just fell off. My lineups didn't tank too bad. I had a pretty solid core top to bottom. He at least made the cut. I mean, based off of what he had shown us before that, wasn't all that great, but I don't think this is a great spot for him. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't love the price like I did last week.
If this turns into everyone's missing the green contest because of the weather, we might be in business. I played him in one lineup for that reason, and but the stats aren't great. It's more of a leverage thing, type of what if the weather gets bad type of thing. And that's where my head's at in this range. I don't really love everything. I don't hate Keegan Bradley. You might have some I don't know. What you're seeing on numbers for Keegan, because actually Keegan might be the worst play ever because his prices are horrible and his ownership might be
I got
high.
Keegan like 12 to 15, 16.
Okay, if that's how it comes in, fine, because that's like, it makes sense. But even though you're paying for something, you got to do something else down lower. But he makes sense if he gets upwards of 15 towards 20. I don't know if I'd want to be in that boat.
I would be fine with that personally.
Yeah, because you're not playing him at all.
Feel free. Free. I feel like I'm gonna sprinkle some Hatton once I'm like sitting down and like throwing some lineups in just because of personal bias. But
he's got the upside for sure. But
also
the Hatton thing is,
he could literally go 7 over tomorrow, and I wouldn't be shocked.
Exactly. Hatton, because Hatton is either he'll gain a bunch on off the tee and approach, or he'll lose a bunch on. It's like so spotty when you look at his stuff. It's like, it's unpredictable. That's why I'm not doing it, because I told you I went with this like super safe build this week.
Yeah.
And that's why Connors Henley, like, it's chalk and it's obvious, but I'm going to try to make my moves down the bottom that are different.
So let's get down there. 8K range. Starting at the top, a guy with a lot of question marks around him. Paul Casey, $8,800, followed by Sergio Garcia, Max Homa, Siwoo Kim, Seamus Power, Jason Day, Webb Simpson, and rounded out by rookie Cameron Young. Rookie of the year, Cameron Young.
Rookie of the year.
I'll say it now.
Pencil
in
him
May.
now.
So.
Back-to-back Demon Deacons, rookie of the year.
So in the 8K range here, Matt, I'm going with value, not form.
Webb Simpson,
Paul Casey.
Okay, Paul Casey.
I will play Paul Casey.
No one's gonna play him.
I know. And like, how many events can you show up to just to withdraw? I get he
Right.
pulled out of the Pro-Am or whatever today, but
I need to
am
show
I
you a
worried?
picture. Yeah,
Maybe a little bit,
maybe a little bit.
but I think he rates out well here. I think he's priced very appropriately. I mean, given the field,
All right, here's a picture. Shout out my good buddy Andy Lack from Paul Casey on the range today,
holding his back,
holding his back.
still playing.
Doesn't still playing. Paul Casey probably put this out on purpose as a big smoke screen to the PGA Tour, to the DFS community, not to play me, but and he'll win. But yeah, I
I
know
just
at this price point.
Yeah, I just think it's a good value. I mean, like you said, worst case, he withdraws tomorrow morning after lock. That is 100% in play. I'm not going to act like it's not.
You
We
can't
don't
go
know.
crazy with him though. You can't
No,
go.
no, no. We don't know how severe the injury is. If I had to guess, I would say he's fine. But like I said, with golf injuries, you really don't know. Where NFL, you know how many days a guy practiced throughout the week. Like, you know which way they're trending. The fact that Paul Casey's there, we have been proven that it really doesn't matter because he can just withdraw after lineups locked. He burned everyone a couple times this year already. The post lock withdraws, but prior to that injury, solo third at the Players, which he should have won, and then he opened the year with 4 straight top 25s worldwide. Good finish at Saudi, good finish at Abu Dhabi, just really consistent. Really, the past two years. I mean, even last year, I kept looking at his form, and it was like top 25 after top 25. So, yeah, we don't know where he's at from a health standpoint, but at the same time, I'll take Paul Casey at 8.8 just based off of what I was shown over the past couple months.
Yeah, I had him in one lineup as one of my pivots. Then I took him out today, but I might go just because it's not like I went with safe all around. I might just put him in there because he's going to be very low owned and he obviously has the upside. But this range just didn't really do it for me. Didn't really move the needle for me. I think Max Homa is the safest play. You're gonna play a cash game, put Max Homa in.
Mm-hmm.
I bet him at 50-1, which I feel like is a really good number in this field for his upside. He's what is he? He wins once a year. What is he shown a win once a year the last 3 years? I know he got one at Fortinet, but he shows he won the Wells Fargo before. I know it's not the same course, but this course kind of makes sense for me. He's a good, not a very accurate. He's a good driver of the golf ball, and his irons have been on fire recently. He's been amazing with irons. So, and he kind of is bad around the green, but I don't. Which is going to be if there's a downfall, it's going to be that. But it was kind of the 50-1 overall golfer versus the field. I bet the number.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I don't see myself getting to Homa just based off of my exposure and where it kind of leads me. I will have some Seamus power. Really good putter on bent grass greens if they play fast, which they could Saturday, Sunday. I think it's going to be a little bit softer. He does well when it's faster type bent grass greens. T38 at Quicken in 2017. I've had him as a rookie, as like a second year, third year guy in my season long. I think I had him 2 of his first 3 years on tour, and he was not a great golfer by any means. Mm-hmm. And just seeing that he finished T38 in a field that wasn't horrible. Like, I mean, I just remember Power wasn't making many cuts, lost his card for, it might have been 2 years. He might have lost that thing for 2 years. I know clearly lost it for one, played unconditional and had an awesome year last year, but Power, like I said, wasn't a great golfer by any means. He showed us a lot early in the year. I think it's a good bounce back spot, and I think he rates out really well here.
Yeah, I do like his course fit. We saw him go lights out at Pebble, a similar type, small greens, positional golf course. And yeah, I think that makes sense. I did play him in one lineup. So I'm gonna have you make a decision for me. Okay. I took Paul Casey out, like I just said, and I put in Siwoo in two separate lineups. Siwoo and Sergio. I want to put Paul Casey back in. Who am I subbing out? Siwoo or Sergio?
Siwoo or Sergio?
Let's see. Sergio, his ball striking has been lost, but he found something at the Masters, but that was just 1 week. Of course, he's won before. Siwoo, I feel like kind of makes sense at this course. I think I can fit it in either of those spots. So
my mind tells me to replace Sergio, but if you kind of look at the profile of like guys who have won here, like a plotter's course where you have to be accurate. I think
Mhm.
experience is going to come into play. That's really tough.
Yeah,
I
it's gonna
I
be
think you got to go Siwoo, but
all right. I'm gonna what keep Siwoo, you're saying?
I think you got to keep Siwoo.
All right, I'm gonna keep Siwoo. I'll take out Sergio.
And that's coming from a Sergio Garcia owner. He's in my season long, and I'd have zero
Okay.
of him. Usually, I'll talk myself into some of these guys. Not this week.
All
It's
right.
not this week for Sergio.
Yeah,
So
we're
before
making that change
we
currently.
close out of the 8K range, which I know you don't have a ton of, Webb Simpson. I talked about Paul Casey being good value. Webb Simpson's much better value at $8,100. I mean, he has made 3 straight cuts for what it's worth. The short course par 70 narrative, not many are better than Webb over the past 4 or 5 seasons. I mean, really his whole career, it just kind of feels like a Webb Simpson course. His last win was off the COVID break in 2020 where he won the RBC Heritage, another shorter course. So if Webb is getting healthier and almost there, hopefully, $8,100 in a field like this. I mean, we're getting Seamus Power, Siwoo Kim priced ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Day,
Yeah.
I'm playing. I'm going to play a lot of Webb at $8,100.
Just off that reasoning, it makes sense, but the results I don't love. Like at the last 2 web courses, what was RBC and Sony, he didn't even break the top 50,
Yeah,
but based off of the price and who he's priced with, already know the upside, but I can't get there with Webb. Webb never really moves the needle for me. I don't like looking at him swing a golf club, but like there is upside there at that price point for sure. You don't even need him to top you don't need him to like top 3 or top 5. Like at
no, no,
8,100, make the cut decent. You need him to do better than top 50 for sure. But you're not asking the most, but there is upside at 8,100.
yeah. So Casey Webb is where I'm going to be with a little bit of Seamus Power. Ready to jump down to the 7s.
Yep.
So pretty loaded range here. I have a very long list. I will just kind of skim over them real quick and we'll get into it. But Doug Gim, 7,800 I'm on this week. Brandon Wu, I'm going to go back to after his solid week in Mexico at $7,500. Adam Long, Francesco Molinari, and Ricky Fowler. I will have some of all of those guys. We'll get into them. All $7,400. Brendan Steele, 73. Martin Laird, 71.
Okay.
That's the guys that I had written down that I found myself throwing into a lot of lineups.
So we're on a similar wavelength because you didn't go crazy in the 10K range, and I went to the bottom of the 10K range. In my core lineup, I don't have any 6K guys. In my core lineup, I have 3 7K guys, and they start at 7,300. My core guys this week are Smalley. You know how I feel about Smalley. Continues
Yeah.
to pay off for me, and he was my last man in this lineup. I was deciding between Smalley or Damon, who I wanted to make the core, but Smalley, I just can't get off the train now. He's been too good for me. So Smalley, Russell Knox, and Cam Davis is my core that rounds out my core 6. So I didn't even have to touch the 6K range, which is awesome. And then the pivots I got are Luke List, 7,100. I know the course really doesn't make sense at all, but the upside is so there. Martin Laird, like crushing every model, bet him outright. Yeah. This is a course where Martin Laird is licking his chops at because he knows he can perform at. And I played one grain of Ricky because of you. And then Mac Hughes. I like Mac Hughes at this course. Only the course. The form isn't there, but the course does make sense for Mac Hughes.
And as strong as he is on just as a putter in general, but on bent grass, like Hughes can put the lights out. I think that could be enough to kind of carry him. And when you think of these shorter plotter courses, like we've been saying, Mac Hughes comes to mind. I mean, he's shown us tons of upside. He's shown that he has win equity. I like Hughes. I'll be getting to him as well. Going back to the top, Doug Gim said last week that I wasn't going to pay the $8,900 for him, and I didn't. As much as I like him, he had like I think a top 35 somewhere in there. Nothing crazy, especially for $8,900. But limited. Actually, I had 0 of him. I didn't build a ton of lineups, but I had 0 Gim. I didn't like the fit last week, but Gim's not the best putter. We've said it before. I mean, so why not Gim? I feel like this is kind of a dream setup for him over the past 12 rounds. He's inside the top 10 in ball striking, tee to green, and fairways gained. He doesn't come to mind as a guy who's very accurate off the tee, but he has proven to be that kind of guy as of late. I mean, his recent results aren't fantastic, but he's making cuts, pushing top 40s. So I'm on Doug Gim this week at $7,800. I do like Aaron Ryan Vegas up at 79. It's just the way I'm building with Webb right there at 81. I don't see myself getting to them. Joel Damon, I'll have a decent amount of. I didn't mention him. And then CT Pan, top 20 the last time it was played here. Been playing pretty good golf over the past 12 rounds. He ranks 3rd overall in the model that I have built. So I like CT Pan. Obviously, loaded range here. It's
loaded range.
You can definitely start with like the whole Henley Woodland thing and then just hammer the upper mid 7s.
So I appreciate how passionate you are about Doug Gim. So I'm a college student. I didn't have class this morning. I got to sleep in a little bit. I hear my phone ring early in the morning. Like, who's texting me at 6 a.m.? I wake up, it's Dom, to a text saying, I believe it's Doug Gim week, waking me up. So Doug Gim is waking me up from my sleep. Therefore, I'm going to have to play him. And just because he's so passionate about him, he's texting me that early, telling me that it's Doug Gim week. You have to play Doug Gim because of that. Like, you have to. He's waking me up at 6 a.m.
I was at work at 5, so it's kind of going through some things, and he just kept coming up, and when Doug Gim keeps coming up for me, it's over.
If you're not researching Doug Gim stats at 5 a.m. on a Wednesday morning,
what are you
doing? What are you doing?
You're weird.
You are weird. It is so Doug Gim week.
So yeah, I'm definitely there. Brandon Wu really turned things around. A guy that I really liked coming up from the Corn Ferry. We've seen him play as a collegiate golfer or whatnot on the PGA Tour.
Stanford.
I expected a lot more of him in his rookie year early, but right now he's made 4 straight cuts, a pair of top 3 finishes, including last week. Some concerns around the green, which we've kind of talked about with some of the guys in the 8 and 9K range. He's lost over 3 strokes to the field in each of his past 2 events around the green, which is not good at all. Led Mexico in ball striking, which you like to see, and getting like sub 6% ownership. A guy that's coming off of a 2nd place finish.
Yeah, he cashed me a 30-1 top 5 last week, which was awesome. It was backdoor, but it was an amazing round course record last week. I loved his game. Brandon Wu, not Dylan Wu. Because he does have a brother.
Definitely not Dylan Wu.
I couldn't get there to him this week just because I went other spots. But that being said, I do love his game. I do think he's hitting the ball amazingly. I do think he makes a lot of sense here, but I could take him in a pivot. Like, why am I playing Ricky Fowler? I don't know, Dom. Why am I playing Ricky Fowler? I could be playing Brandon Wu. So
you know why you're playing Ricky Fowler?
Why? Because I just got fitted for a Cobra driver. That's why.
There it is. I didn't know that. You should have told me that.
Yeah, now it's Ricky Fowler week.
God, I have a Cobra bag. It's Ricky week.
It's Ricky week.
Anyways, the course history, I get it's 4 or 5 years ago. T13, T3. You know that I'm a big Ricky guy, but since we've started this thing, I have not played Ricky. I think maybe once, but I have been fading him. I've been realistic. I just think I wish he was cheaper. I'm not going to lie. I wish he was closer to 7K, but I don't think it makes all that big of a difference. But seen a thread earlier in the week on Ricky and kind of did a little bit of research into that. Looking since June of 2021 at his best finishes: T3 at the CJ Cup, T11 at Memorial, T32 at Rocket, T34 at the 3M, all bent grass greens. So something about him being able to play well at this course, at least being familiar with it. That's enough for me, because Jordan Spieth at Pebble last year, horrible form,
No form.
but had good course history and showed up. Guys can find it at places that they've played well. And like Ricky's one of the few guys who has 2 top 15 finishes in the 2 years at Quicken at
All right,
TPC
then
Potomac. So
I'm keeping him in there then. He's in
if
one lineup.
he fails me again, you're going to have a serious talk with me after.
Yeah, okay. All right, that's fair. Brian, I see your comment about Paul Casey. We touched on him earlier. I think you should go 100% Paul Casey. His back is fine. There was no picture of him on the range touching his back. He looks like he's normal. I would go 100% Paul Casey. That's only if your name is Brian Kirshner. I would not advise that from someone else. As we know, Brian Kirshner staple in this industry. Go with Paul Casey 100% of your lineups.
You might have just talked me into it right there.
100% Casey.
I'm not going Casey, but I'm telling you right now, I'm playing him. I actually have an outright on him. I'm not lying. I'm not even cashing it out.
Not even cashing it out. 40-1.
I checked today once I saw some of the reports, and it was they offered me an even cash out. Didn't even flinch.
Didn't even flinch. Keeping that. Might as well bet it again.
I might see if anyone drops. But if you get there early enough, like pre-lock, and he's just really not looking good, or he's nowhere to be seen, call me.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you the inside scoop, and I might tweet out the false information. Paul Casey looks awesome right now.
Oh God.
Not in a back brace or anything.
You're on Laird as well?
I'm on Laird. Who isn't on Laird this week?
Yes, I completely agree. I mean, fits the profile of what I'm looking for this season. Number 1 on the PGA Tour, good drives gained. Top 16 in greens and regulation. Top 10 in fairways gained. Approach has been great, even when his results weren't, which is what we're looking for here. The T3 at Potomac in 2017. I'm in. $7,100 is a joke to me.
Yeah, I'm not in them too heavy on DraftKings because everyone seems to be clicking his name and on him. We'll see where his ownership comes out, but I played him in a lineup or two. I didn't go crazy because I think for the upside and for the caliber of player that he is, you don't want to play Martin Laird when he's very, very chalky. But the course makes so much sense. I got 155-1 on him at 365. That was a no-brainer. It didn't cost me much, so I was the last guy on my card. But I didn't want to get too crazy with him in DraftKings because everyone's seeing the same stats. Everyone knows, oh my God, Martin Laird's checking out. But so is that going to pan out? Probably not, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and he's sitting just over 10%, which is high for this range. I mean, he's one of the only guys that's going to see over 10% ownership from 73 down. I mean, Knox could get there, I guess.
He's in my core. I love Russ Knox this week. Love the ball striking premise from Russ Knox.
It's hard for me to get off Knox, really. Sell me on Cam Davis quick before we round out of the 7K range.
So we know Cam Davis is a guy who absolutely sprays the ball off the tee. You look at his results on club down courses, they are scary good. I'll pull them up real quick, but when he's taking driver out of his hands and knows he needs to be positional because he doesn't have to hit driver on every single hole because this course is very tight. And I typed in Pebble, not Cam Davis. I'm going to read you off of the results at shorter courses for Cam Davis. Okay, RBC Heritage 3rd. You know you're not bombing driver everywhere around there. Sony Open, he's 27th. Where we go? Where was the next one I saw? 3rd at Amex. That's not a crazy long course. And then that was the recent ones.
Yeah.
That was the recent ones. So we got 3 top 10s at 3 club down courses that aren't long. Yeah, I'll take that. The upside's there, $7,200, nothing crazy. Ownership's not crazy. That's basically it. That was my route.
And one thing that I saw, you have to be accurate off the tee. It's a club down course, but at the same time, the average driving distance is higher than your average event on the PGA Tour. So there are opportunities when you have the driver in hand that you can
get it.
Use it. You can use it to your advantage. I mean, it seems like it's going to get tight in some spots, but you're also going to get holes where you're able to put it out there. And why not Cam Davis? Not many guys can do both at a high level. I think Cam Davis is one of them. I like
Cam Davis is a very skilled golfer. I would not. You look at his driving accuracy stats based on versus the fairway or not the fairway. They're not going to be crazy, but that's not his game. He's not trying to hit every fairway. He's trying to be long. This guy can swing the golf club better than anyone can swing the golf club with his left hand. I don't know if you've ever seen those videos. This guy is a absolute golfing machine. I'm not worried about Cam Davis performing well in a weaker field in a spot that he knows he can probably contend if he's hitting 3 woods off a lot of tees, and just he can hit fairways if he needs to hit fairways. I just said results on courses where I probably shouldn't perform well for the average golf fan if they know his game. But you wouldn't think Cam Davis finishes third at Harbor Town and posts he's the clubhouse leader on Sunday. You're not going to think that, and you saw what he could do.
Yeah, I'll go last guy in the 7K range I'm going to talk about just because I'm going to have minimal exposure to the 6K. Brendan Steele impressed me when I was kind of going through, and he's not going to be all that popular over the past 12 rounds. In the field's top 3 in ball striking, good drives gained, tee to green. He's made 3 straight cuts. Digging deeper into some of his recent events, T26 at Arnold Palmer. Top 6 in the field off the tee, tee to green, and in good drives gained. T13 at the Players, number 1 off the tee, number 5 tee to green. So I've always kind of went back and saw guys who were finishing outside of the top 10, but also being top 5 in some of the most important stats. It's like when you're T26 at API and you're top 6 and all of the key stats that I'm looking for here, like recently, I'm going to be going to Steele. I think he's going to be right around 5 to 7%. I don't play a whole lot of Brendan Steele, but I'm on this week.
Yeah, why play $9,600 Keegan Bradley when you can play $7,300 Brendan Steele? Because they're basically the same guy. I love that call.
Yeah,
I actually had him in for 1, and I took him out for your boy Rick.
Don't.
I think I'm not gonna. I'm gonna go with my gut. Go with Ricky. I could.
Don't put Ricky in.
Oh no,
I'd feel bad.
No, it's not that deep. It might be. If Brendan Steele like finishes 3rd,
any cash game players out there, don't play Ricky. I know I kind of sold him. Don't even think about it. I'm serious.
I could fit Brendan Steele in over because I played. I told you how balanced this lineup is. No, well, not even Siwoo. I have 3 because my lineups are absurdly balanced. Usually I have obviously a bunch of 6K guys because I play the 20 max entry. Usually I have a bunch of 6K guys because you need them in 20 lineups. I only have 3 6K players in 20 whole lineups, which is crazy. So I could easily, I can take one of those guys out because I have one lineup with a 6K player in it, and I have 1,000 left on the table. I can just put Brendan Steele in there. Yeah, why am I
for the 6K guy?
Yeah, with Trey Mullinax.
Yeah,
and then put Trey Mullinax in Brian Stewart's place because why do I want to play Brian Stewart? I don't.
He's a Michigan guy.
I think is he a Michigan guy?
Yeah, he's from right around here.
Well, we're not in Michigan, so.
Oh, me. It's right around. Yeah, right, my neighbor actually.
Oh yeah, best boys.
Let's get down to the 6K though. So it's gonna be fairly quick for me. I mean, when it gets here, I think I'm gonna have a little bit of Ryan Armour. Good mix of recent form and course history. Outside of that, going down a little bit, Smotherman pops, which he's going to, but I don't think I'm gonna play him all that much.
Don't play him when he's chalk. Remember,
Norlander again is popping for me at 63. Didn't do well the last time I played him. Outside of that, did you see my tweet earlier this week? Larkin Gross's headshot.
Yeah, dude, you should play him just off.
Who let him wear a bandana?
I love it. I think it's
I had to
awesome.
snuck that into the room where they're doing the photo shoot because you don't see that every day.
Shout out Methodist University. He's a Division III guy. Larkin Gross, greatest headshot I've ever seen. Best of luck to you, Larkin Gross. I will not.
Maybe he uses it as a mask. Like
maybe that's just his thing. But
if he's doing that, social distancing,
so smart guy.
I respect it.
Yeah, good for you. Good on you, Larkin. Yeah, I won't be playing him. We're not selling you on Larkin Gross.
No,
we're selling you on his sweet headshot. That's it. So yeah, those are your guys. Yeah, not much for me either. I'm on Trey Mullinax, Hayden Buckley, and Brian Stewart each in one lineup. Trey Mullinax has not lost strokes off the tee since the 2019 Barbasol Championship. It's a while back. As
Who?
in Hayden Trey Mullinax.
Jesus.
So I mean, those are in measured events, which
Right.
is
Still.
who knows what. Still, yeah, awesome. And Hayden Buckley, similar. He's a very accurate driver. He lost a little bit early. He lost one or two strokes like 3 weeks ago, but before that, it was like the same time frame. He was just very accurate off the tee. And then Brian Stewart, we know what his game is, but people are on Brian Stewart this week just because they know they can play him 2 to 3 times a year. This being one of those weeks where you're going to want a very accurate course, Brian Stewart makes sense. I think what I'm going to do is sub out that Brian Stewart because I don't want to play Brian Stewart if he's any type of chalk. I'm going to put Trey Mullinax in that spot, and then that spot that I'm taking Trey Mullinax out, you sold me on Brennan Steele because I have 1,000 left on the table, and then we're gonna have our finished product. I remember I tweeted out this week my core and my plays, and I said this isn't final. I want to talk with you through it, and I think that's where I'm going to go. So I'm gonna go take Stewart out. I'm sorry, Brian Stewart, your time has come.
It from an upside perspective, though, I mean, sure, Stewart's a good play if you want to push someone through a cut, but it's like, what are you really gaining with Stewart in the upper 6Ks that you can't get in the low 7s? I mean,
Exactly.
all the power to Stewart. He does rate out well here, but do I think he's gonna or have any chance to finish in the top 5? I don't. I don't at all.
I bet Stewart one time ever, and that was at the Wyndham Championship this past one, and he was making a crazy charge on Sunday, and then made like a 9 on like hole 11. I was like, "What are you doing, Brian Stewart? That was the only time you're going to contend in like the rest of your life." So that kind of got me off of him forever.
Yeah, it's understandable. Back to your Buckley point, he popped for me actually a couple times. He's finally getting down to the range where like he's with rookies who weren't even in the same tier as him through 2 years on the Corn Ferry, who weren't in the same tier as him early last fall. I mean, Buckley came into the year. I think he was in my top 3 rookies rankings when I went through the whole rankings top to bottom at the beginning of the year, but I still like Buckley. I still have faith in him. He hits a ton of fairways. Good drives gained. That's kind of his forte. So I like Hayden Buckley, especially if you're going to start pricing him around guys like Andrew Novak, Dylan Wu. I mean, a lot of these rookies just have nothing to their name like Buckley does.
Yeah, so I like that Buckley call. I'm keeping him in there.
Yeah, that's all I got. $6,500. I think he does present some upside. Couple wins on the Corn Ferry. Might have just been one. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he had multiple. But
below that is nothing. Nothing catches my eye. Wesley Bryan has done well here in the past, but I'm not playing you.
I grabbed Luke Donald this morning in my season long for
I saw your tweet.
Mito's injury replacement. The way we do it, once a guy comes back from injury, you lose your replacement. So he's not cemented into my team. Seems like a Donald course. He seems way older than 44 as well, just to throw that out there.
Yeah, he does.
But won't be playing him on DK, I'll tell you that. So want to do a recap, or you want to touch on any guys in the bottom 6Ks?
No guys in the bottom 6Ks.
Chikara's interesting.
Yeah, the young guy from Oklahoma State, I believe, something like that.
Yeah, number 4 amateur.
Shout out Greg Odom from Howard University, making his PGA Tour debut.
Yeah,
not Greg Oden.
When I saw that too, that's the first thing that came to my mind.
Greg Oden, you've came a long way.
All right, starting 10K. We'll do top 2 again because it's going to be rough for me towards the top. 10K, Corey Connors 1, massive gap. Fitzpatrick 2.
That's literally was mine. I'll go Connors answer though.
Okay. 9K, Russell Henley 1, Woodland 2.
Russell Henley 1, 9K. Russell Henley 1. Patrick Reed too. Pick up for
Really?
Mayweather.
I love it.
Pick up for Mayweather.
8K, Webb Simpson 1, Paul Casey number 2.
All right,
Going for it.
Homa 1, and Paul Hugh and Paul Casey. Homa 1, Sheamus 2. Yeah, I'll go Sheamus.
Just to touch on that, don't play Casey in cash games either. Carrying on.
Unless you're Brian Kirshner, play him in all of your lineups.
Yes, everyone. All right, 7K. I'm not going to go Laird here just based off of – I will have him, but Doug Gim, number 1. I'll just say Ricky Fowler too. I have to say it.
Smalley Knox.
And then 6K, I'm going to go Ryan Armour as my number 1. And God, this is almost more difficult than last week. I'll go Buckley too.
All right, I'll go Buckley Mullinax as my 1-2 for 6K range. Ugly 6K range.
All right, side bet. Your
side bet.
What do you got?
All right, yeah, I'll take it this week. Why don't we do something similar to last week?
Okay.
Since we are kind of fading this below $6,500 range, let's pick one guy 62 or below. It's just head to head. One guy 62 or below. You can pick a 62 guy, or you can go all the way down to the bottom. You can pick first. 62 or below.
62 below. I'm going Chikara.
Okay. Yeah, go with your gut. Chikara, I'll go Bryson Nimmer riding that Monday Q.
Dude, I almost picked him last week. I looked at his name and I was like, he's pretty volatile, but obviously the guys that were taken down there anyways all kind of fit that criteria. So
yeah, I love the Mizuno guy.
Nimmer Chikara.
All right, we'll tweet.
That should be a pretty good one. We'll tweet it out. Hopefully can get my first win of the year. We'll kind of see how it goes there, but that's all I got for this week. Good luck at the Wells Fargo. Make sure you're following Matt. Make sure you're following both Fantasy Points accounts. They'll be live tweeting, boots on the ground. Matt, have fun out there. I'll be down in Nashville. Might have a giveaway, so stay tuned for that. Giveaway on my score for golf, which isn't going to be fantastic, but we're going to be down there hopefully in the sun, and we'll go from there. So good luck, everyone. Matt.
Peace out. Have a good weekend. Tweet me. I will be on the ground tomorrow morning. Any questions, hit me up on Twitter. You know where to find me. Peace out.